Continuing from the previous episode 322. Chapter 1251. Ancient Medicinal Pill. Everyone nodded when they heard these words of Xiao Yan. Since they had already taken the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit, there was no longer any meaning in them remaining here. Seeing that no one objected, Xiao Yan once again glanced at this plain, where an ancient heaven phoenix and an ancient void dragon had died. His toes pressed on the stone platform and his body appeared beside the beast's spiritual barrier. Ziyan by the side randomly drew a crack line with her hand and Xiao Yan's group rushed out through the gap. Golden light flashed within the forest. A couple of figures appeared out of nowhere. Do Qi immediately surged from their bodies after they appeared. The Do Qi was only withdrawn after they failed to sense any unexpected change around them. Those fellows has already fled beforehand. Looks like that old fellow is quite seriously injured. Xiao Yan sighed in relief upon seeing the empty forest as he laughed. Yes, little fairy doctor and the rest also nodded. Their eyes swept around the place and they could vaguely hear the sound of some intense battles and beast roars transmitted from within this forest. It was likely caused by those who had barged in to seek for treasure. Let's leave this place first. The commotion is becoming increasingly big. It would sooner or later disturb those powerful magical beasts within the deep parts of the forest. Things would be troublesome if we end up becoming entangled in it. Xiao Yan did not stay any longer after saying those words. His body moved and flashed towards the path which they had taken earlier. Ziyan and the rest swiftly followed behind him. Xiao Yan's group had met with quite a number of powerful treasure seekers along the way as they flew. These people felt somewhat surprised at Xiao Yan's group active rushing towards the outside of the forest. The eyes of some of those who were careful flickered when they saw Xiao Yan's group rushing out from the deep parts of the forest. Their hearts appeared to have thought of something. However, due to the lineup of Xiao Yan's group, they had no choice but to withdraw the ill thoughts within their hearts. Xiao Yan's group rushed wildly towards the direction that they came from. They met with quite a number of eyes along the way but did not end up being blocked. Hence, after around 20 minutes or so, Xiao Yan's group had once again appeared at the stone door where they had entered from earlier. During this journey of theirs out of the place, Xiao Yan's group did not discover the trail of Feng Qing'er's group. It seemed that they had left through another way. This caused Xiao Yan to feel some regret. At this moment, the latter had ended up entering a weakened state due to the black-robed old man's injury. It was a good opportunity to beat a dog when it was down. Rumble. After slowly opening the stone door, Xiao Yan's group once again glanced at the ancient forest behind them. They could vaguely sense some extremely fierce aura becoming increasingly stronger. It seemed that some unlucky fellows had barged into the territories of some extremely powerful existences. Xiao Yan group swiftly left while quietly pitying these unlucky fellows. After which, they shut the door tightly. Everyone looked at the tightly shut stone door within the spacious corridor. After which, they looked at this already messy corridor and the rooms on both sides. They involuntarily smiled bitterly and shook their heads. These fellows were too barbaric. Where should we go to now? Little fairy doctor's eyes looked towards Xiao Yan and asked. Let's walk inwards. The true treasure should be at the middle of the large hall. Xiao Yan mused a little. After which, he found their bearings and swiftly walked towards the other corridor. Ziyan and the rest hurriedly followed upon seeing this. This corridor had clearly already been violently washed once during the time that Xiao Yan's group had entered the ancient forest. The surroundings were not only a complete mass but those originally clean rooms had also been destroyed until they were like ruins. It caused one to continue shaking one's head when looking at them. After seeing that the path had already been damaged until such an extent, Xiao Yan's group also no longer had the interest to continue looking at them. They increased their speed and hurried towards the middle of the large hall. Xiao Yan had also met quite a number of groups searching all over the places for treasure during the time that they were hurrying past. The thing that caused Xiao Yan to feel a little strange was that these fellows seemed to be hurrying towards a certain direction. A thought also passed through the hearts of Xiao Yan's group when they saw this scene. They exchanged glances and nodded slightly before following these groups. It's medicinal pills. Xiao Yan suddenly sniffed a familiar scent after following these group through a couple of corridors. A thought passed through his heart as he softly said, moreover, it is an extremely rich medicinal pill scent. It seems that there should be quite a lot of medicinal pills. If I guess correctly, it should be a pill room that stores medicinal pills. Oh, Everyone's heart were interested when they heard the words, medicinal pills. Medicinal pills would always possess a great allure in this world. Moreover, the medicinal pills in this place were left behind by an elite Do Sheng. That allure was multiplied. KK, let's go. I am also quite curious about these ancient medicinal pills. It is a good opportunity to take a look. Xiao Yan was aware that everyone were interested after seeing their expressions. He laughed immediately as his toes pressed on the ground. His speed suddenly increased and he overtook the group in front within a short while. Little Fairy Doctor and the rest also activated their maximum speed behind Xiao Yan. Everyone seemed to have become very hard-working under the allure of the ancient medicinal pills. The corridor within the large hall was just like a maze. However, it was fortunate that Xiao Yan was relying on the medicinal pill scent. After spending over a dozen minutes, they had finally began to gradually slow. A building that was filled with an ancient aura stood in front of them. Two majestic large words were present on the top of the building. Pill Hall. Xiao Yan softly read it in his mouth. His eyes shifted downwards. At this moment, this pill hall had already been found. One could vaguely see quite a number of human figures wildly searching all over the place. Let's go. Xiao Yan beckoned and was the first to enter this spacious building. The first story of this pill hall was very messy. Numerous human figures were barbarically barging into those pill refinement rooms like bandits, plundering everything. Occasionally, an extremely intense battle would erupt as they fought for medicinal pills. Xiao Yan's eyes randomly swept over this first story before losing his interest. He waved his hand and rushed into the interior of the pill hall. After finding a flight of stairs that reached the upper level, he directly headed to the second story. Little Fairy Doctor's expression changed slightly when they entered the second story. She softly said, "Xiao Yan, you should give everyone an antidote if you have one. There is poison in the air here." Xiao Yan's group were startled upon hearing Little Fairy Doctor's words. They inhaled a couple of breaths and indeed sensed that something was not quite right. No wonder this second story has a lot less people. Looks like there are people already being caught by it. Xiao Yan's eyes swept over the place and immediately paused on some corpses on the distant ground. From the looks of it, they were clearly some fellows who had unluckily been poisoned to death. Xiao Yan took out a couple of antidote that he usually refined from his storage ring. He distributed them to everyone to consume. Only then did he said, "There are 3 stories in this pill hall. This is merely the second story. It is likely that the true treasure is on the 3rd story. However, since the second story has poisonous air, it is likely that the 3rd story will not be too peaceful. Everyone should be careful." Everyone nodded upon hearing Xiao Yan's reminder. Only Little Fairy Doctor curled her lips and smiled. Being in possession of the woeful poison body, the thing that she was least afraid of was poison. After the group conducted a brief search of the second story, they only found some medicinal pills that were not of a high tier. It was likely that others had taken the medicinal pills before them. After failing to gain any unexpected reward despite searching for a while, Xiao Yan's group could only give up. They found the pathway to the 3rd story, gave each other a reminder before entering it. The 3rd story of this pill hall was extremely spacious. There were various different-sized pill rooms that filled the area around him. Whether it was in terms of decoration or grandeur, it was far from what those 2 stories below could compare with. The poison air here is extremely dense. Moreover, it can erode the Do Qi within one's body. Be careful. Little Fairy Doctor was most sensitive towards poison. She had sensed that the air was mixed with a potent poison when she arrived. Immediately, she issued a reminder. Everyone nodded upon hearing this. Their eyes looked around them. It was still possible to see some human figures on this 3rd story. The auras of these people were all quite strong. The weakest was also at the Do Zong class. Of course, if they did not possess this little ability, it was likely that barging into the 3rd story would only end up with them seeking death. Xiao Yan's group, which had suddenly entered this place, had undoubtedly also attracted quite a lot of attention. However, no one took the initiative to come over and chat with them. Everyone here were being cautious of each other. I wonder if the 3rd story has the legendary Tier 9 medicinal pill? If it does, it will really be quite crazy. Tianhuo Zunjie's eyes swept over the surrounding pill rooms as he laughed. It is likely not possible to have a Tier 9 medicinal pill. A medicinal pill of that tier is likely also quite rare to an elite Do Sheng. Xiao Yan smiled. He randomly found a pill room that no one had visited and slowly walked in. The size of this pill room was quite large. Due to it having not been patronized by others, it still appeared quite neat and tidy. After Xiao Yan searched the place, he had found an ancient medicinal formula. He glanced at it briefly before keeping it into his storage ring. Currently, there was no time to study these things in detail. Other than this medicinal formula, there was also a bottle of medicinal pill that had not been opened. From the pill fragrance that vaguely seeped out, it was likely a Tier 7 medicinal pill. However, there was no record of its effect on it. Xiao Yan was also unable to sense it within such a short time. After finishing the search of this pill room, Xiao Yan's group once again changed their target and entered 8 pill rooms one after another. Although they did not gain much surprise, they could be considered to have gained something. Moreover, some ancient medicinal formula was also suitable to Xiao Yan. For an alchemist like him, the medicinal formula was sometimes far more valuable than the medicinal pill. Creak. Xiao Yan's group once again pushed open a pill room that stood at a corner. His eyes swept around him and his brows were knitted slightly. Compared to the other pill rooms, this place was undoubtedly much narrower. Moreover, from the looks of this messy manor, it seemed that it had been visited by someone else. Let's go. Xiao Yan lost his interest after his eyes swept over the interior. He waved his hand and was just about to turn around and leave when a white figure suddenly rushed past the messy pill room. The sudden appearance of the white figure also caused Xiao Yan's group to be startled. Qi was basically circulated within their bodies at that moment. Their eyes also followed the flashing white figure and looked over. They were startled. It was merely a small beast with white fur over it. This small beast appeared like a cat that was exceptionally fat. Its rounded appearance made it seem simple and honest. However, there was hardly any energy ripple within its body. It was just like an ordinary small beast. Who? Xiao Yan's group sighed in relief. Their tensed heart also relaxed a little. He glanced at the round little fellow and was about to bring others to leave when a thought suddenly passed through his heart. No, that's not right. This was the ancient remains. How could a cute and fat little beast that did not possess any energy appear in this place? Xiao Yan knitted his brows slightly. He once again turned his eyes and seriously stared at this round little fellow. A moment later, he appeared to have sensed something. A pair of eyes began to bulge like a frog in an instant. Little Fairy Doctor and the rest were startled when they saw this expression of Xiao Yan. This was the first time that they had seen this expression of Xiao Yan. However, before Little Fairy Doctor and the rest could open their mouths and ask, Xiao Yan's expression had swiftly turned bright red. A mouthful of vulgar words suddenly and involuntarily escaped from his mouth. Bloody hell! This fellow is actually a medicinal pill? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 323. Chapter 1252. Attracting the Pill Beast, Medicinal Pill? Everyone were stunned upon hearing these vulgarities of Xiao Yan. It was a long while later before they gradually recovered. Their eyes were filled with disbelief as they watched the snow-white little beast. At this moment, the latter was staring at them curiously with a pair of intelligent eyes. How did this appearance resemble a medicinal pill? How could there be such a big medicinal pill? Little Fairy Doctor mumbled, I'm definitely right. I will not recognize that kind of medicinal pill scent wrongly. Earlier, I thought that it was being emitted from some of the remaining medicinal pills. After a detailed probe, however, I discovered that the pill fragrance is being emitted from the body of this small beast. Xiao Yan's eyes were filled with a fiery heat that was difficult to hide. There are indeed some high-tier medicinal pills that are indeed able to change form and even possess some intelligence. This place is an ancient remains left behind by an elite Dou Sheng. It is not very strange for there to be something like this. Tian Huo Zun Jie said. He immediately smiled bitterly. He had never been able to see a medicinal pill that could turn into the form of a beast in his lifetime. At the very most, he had only read about it from some ancient books. Could this little beast be the legendary Tier 9 medicinal pill? Ziyan asked curiously. Even if it is not a Tier 9 medicinal pill, it is also almost there. Normally, as long as it is a medicinal pill that has experienced a 7 or more colored medicinal pill, it would possess the ability to transform into a beast shape. Moreover, its intelligence is also extremely great. Xiao Yan's eyes stared at the little beast and softly said, if I guess correctly, this little beast's original form should be a medicinal pill that has experienced an 8 or even 9 colored pill lightning. It is within close proximity to the 9-tier medicinal pill, a tier 8 medicinal pill that has experienced an 8-colored pill lightning. Everyone looked at each other. Even within the entire current Dochi continent, the number of people who could refine a medicinal pill at this tier would likely not exceed one's fingers. Even the current Xiao Yan was unable to refine it. If word of this was to spread, it is likely that the experts within this ancient remains would become crazy. Little Fairy Doctor's pretty eyes blinked and spoke in a somewhat solemn manner. The allure of a medicinal pill of this tier was one that even some old demons were unable to block. If they became aware of it, they would definitely use all their means to snatch it. It was extremely difficult to raise one's strength within the Dozun class. If anyone could swallow this medicinal pill, his strength would end up advancing greatly. It could be equivalent to 10 years or even 100 years of training. How many people were immune to such an allure? Xiao Yan's group hurriedly recovered from their wild joy after hearing Little Fairy Doctor's words. This thing was indeed a great treasure, but it was also a scalding hot potato. If word of it was to spread, it was likely that everyone who had entered this remains would instantly become envious. At that time, they would really become the common enemy of everyone. Xiao Yan mused for a moment. He turned his head and threw an expression towards Shang Zan. The latter also understood Xiao Yan after seeing this. He slowly took a couple of themes back and stood outside of the door. A fierce aura spread over his body as he guarded at the entrance like a strong being. Although there are quite a number of experts on the 3rd story, few of them could surpass Shang Zan. With such a ferocious guard, even if others converted the thing inside, they would not dare to randomly barge in without being aware of the exact information. Moreover, this was the result that Xiao Yan's group needed. Should we capture this little fellow? Ziyan spoke with some excitement after seeing Shang Zan guarding the main entrance. Do not act rashly. This little fellow might not appear to possess any energy, but it is not a nice party to offend. If it is frightened off, we will have difficulty finding it within such a large pill hall without its aura as a direction. Xiao Yan shook his head. A smile surfaced on his face as he said, moreover, we need not use any brute force in order to capture this little fellow. You have a method? Little Fairy Doctor asked uncertainly. Xiao Yan smiled slightly. He took a jade bottle from within his storage ring. The jade bottle contained a couple of tier 4 medicinal pills within it. He took out one of them from within it and tossed it towards that snow-white little fellow in the distance. The medicinal pill gently landed beside the snow-white little beast. It rolled around. The latter pulled back some distance from shock before stepping forward to sniff it. However, it did not swallow it, an act that somewhat exceeded Xiao Yan's expectations. All it did was shake its head and pulled back. From its action, it was clear that it completely looked down on such a low-grade medicinal pill. An embarrassed expression appeared on Xiao Yan's face when he saw this scene. Little Fairy Doctor and Ziyan by the side involuntarily laughed. This little beast really did not give any face. Looks like it is being raised by those high-tier medicinal pill. Xiao Yan laughed bitterly. He could only take out a tier 6 medicinal pill that he had refined from his storage ring. With a flick of his finger, it had landed beside the small beast. After sniffing it a little, some excitement flashed across its large spiritual eyes. Its pink tender tongue swept this medicinal pill into its mouth like beans and swallowed it with a gulping sound. The little beast raised its head once again after eating a tier 6 medicinal pills. Its intelligent large eyes stared at Xiao Yan. That pink tender tongue was repeatedly extended and withdrawn like a small dog. Clearly, it had yet to eat till it was satisfied. A joy rose within Xiao Yan's heart when he saw this. The ancient book record was right. This kind of pill beast ate medicinal pills. Using medicinal pills to tame these pill beasts was the best method. Xiao Yan once again took out a couple of tier 6 medicinal pills. He flickered all of them beside the snow-white little beast. The latter did not reject any of them that came its way as it swallowed all of them into his stomach. After over a dozen medicinal pills were swallowed into its stomach, the caution within those eyes that the little beast used to look at Xiao Yan was also gradually reduced. This is squandering too much, no? Tian Huo Zun Jie involuntarily felt some heartache as he saw Xiao Yan continuously throw out these tier 6 medicinal pills like beans. It was difficult to seek these medicinal pills in the outside world even if one had money. Yet, it was currently used as feed. There is no choice. This little fellow's mouth is too selective. It refuses to eat any medicinal pills below tier 6. Xiao Yan also felt somewhat helpless. He had underestimated the pickiness of this pill beast towards food. Tian Huo Zun Jie laughed bitterly. He could only watch Xiao Yan throw out one pill after another. Fortunately, these medicinal pills were not thrown without receiving any gain. At the very least, that snow-white little beast was no longer as resistive of them. This feeding continued for 10 minutes. After this 10 minutes, Xiao Yan had through over 20 Tier 6 medicinal pills and 8 Tier 7 medicinal pills. This spending rate caused even him to feel his heart dripping with blood towards the end. Even with his current ability, he would at the very need require a couple of days in order to refine those medicinal pills. Yet, all of them had disappeared under the squeaking chewing sound of the pill beast. Fortunately, this spending was not endless. While Xiao Yan began to feel a little numb, the snow-white small beast raised its hind foot in satisfaction. Two furry claws patted its round tummy. Its eyes were filled with satisfaction. Xiao Yan sighed in relief after seeing that he had finally fed this little fellow until it was full. He whistled towards the snow-white small beast. Those intelligent eyes of the beast glanced at him. It appeared to be intending to walk over, but there were many people on Xiao Yan's side. This caused it to hesitate a little. Xiao Yan, who saw this scene, was finally aware that it was time to use some ruthless tactic. As long as this fellow would walk over willingly, he would be temporarily considered the owner of this pill beast. With a flick of his hand, a transparent jade bottle appeared within it. There was a round medicinal pill being contained inside. A pill fog that was filled with spirituality lingered within the jade bottle. That medicinal pill appeared to be in possession of a spirituality as it was suspended within the jade bottle while swaying left and right. This medicinal pill was naturally the highest tier medicinal pill that Xiao Yan currently possessed. It was the bone-growing blood-fusing pill that had summoned a 5-colored pill lightning when he refined it back at the pill gathering. The eyes of the little beast widened into a circle when this medicinal pill appeared. Immediately, its forelimbs sprung on the tabletop. Its round body drew an arc over the midair and charged over towards Xiao Yan in an anxious manner. A brilliant smile surfaced on Xiao Yan's face when he saw this. "Little fellow, you have taken the bait." The snow-white little beast drew an arc over the midair. However, when it was about to collide into Xiao Yan's embrace, its body suddenly stiffened. A sudden suction force surged and directly pulled its body away. This sudden unexpected change caused Xiao Yan's group to be startled. Xiao Yan was the fastest to react. His expression became gloomy almost instantly as his eyes swept upwards. A somewhat slim shadow figure flashed and grabbed the pill beast forcefully in its hands. "Little fellow, I'll see where you will run to this time around." The black shadow figure grabbed the pill beast, ignored its intense struggle and laughed. "You are seeking death." Xiao Yan's expression was gloomy. His body flashed and he directly appeared in front of the black shadow. Purple-brown flame lingered over his palms and his palm violently slammed towards Xiao Yan. Bang! That black shadow figure was unafraid in the face of this attack by Xiao Yan. He turned around and slammed backwards, colliding heavily with Xiao Yan's hands. Both hands crossed each other. Xiao Yan's body trembled and the black shadow figure swiftly took a couple of steps back. Finally, it leapt onto a beam in a vigorous manner and looked down at everyone from above. He coldly said, "I have chased this pill beast for a long time. Are all of you intending to snatch with me?" Xiao Yan was expressionless. His eyes stared at the ghost mask on the face of the black shadow figure. A cold glint flashed across them. "You again." The black shadow figure that had suddenly appeared was surprisingly the mysterious person that had attacked Ziyan back then. "You freaking woman who dares to attack this grandaunt. Are you tired of living?" Ziyan had also recognized this person and she roared furiously, "Damn it, this girl is really too evil." The old me became absent-minded because of that green light of hers, allowing her to sneak in. Shangzan also charged in and cried furiously. Xiao Yan's expression was gloomy. He suppressed the fury within his heart and threw an expression towards Little Fairy Doctor and Tian Huo Zun Jie. The both of them withdrew some distance away and sealed off the retreat path of this black shadow person. "Hand the pill beast to us and we can choose not to pursue the previous matter. Otherwise, do not blame us for being vicious. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible." Continuing from the previous episode 324. Chapter 1253. Qing Lin. "Humph. I have already chased this beast for a long time. You are the ones who are snatching it." Yet, you wish to hand it over to you now, isn't that a joke? That black shadow figure immediately laughed coldly upon hearing these words of Xiao Yan. Clearly, the figure was a woman. Moreover, it was likely that she was quite young. Just where did this woman come from? She already possessed such a mysterious tactic at such an age. There isn't any word of such a young and outstanding person in the Central Plains. Xiao Yan's expression was gloomy. A thought swiftly flew within his heart. However, he was still without any conclusion a moment later. At the end, he could only attribute it to there being too many hidden experts within the Central Plains. Woman, you are really shameless. The things here belongs to no one. Would it not be a joke to say it belongs to whoever set sight on it first? If you have the ability, you should release the pill beast and see just which side it will run towards. Ziyan cried out. That black shadow person softly snorted in the face of Ziyan's cry. However, her hands that were grabbing onto the pill beast did not relax even a little. She was naturally aware that if she let this little fellow go, it will definitely flee towards the other side. I will not hand over the pill beast. If you wish to fight, you can just attack. A pair of eyes emitting a bright green light swept over the place from under the ghost mask. Finally, they paused on Xiao Yan's gloomy face. For some unknown reason, this unusually strong young man gave her a kind of strange feeling. That feeling was as though she was once acquainted with him. She knitted her brows and thought about it but was unable to recall anything at this moment. All she could do was to suppress it in her heart. Her eyes swept all over the place in an attempt to find a spot where she could escape from the encirclement. A chillness flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes when he saw this black shadow figure did not show any signs of giving up. This pill beast was far too rare and important. If he could obtain it and groom it properly, it might really possess the opportunity to advance into the legendary Tier 9 level. At that time, it would definitely enable his strength to soar greatly. Even surpass the Tianjun of the Hall of Soul would be an ordinary thing. In that case, do not blame us for relying on our larger numbers. Xiao Yan slowly stepped forward. Purple-brown flame spread out like a furious dragon, covering his body. His foot suddenly stomped on the ground and his body appeared in front of the black shadow figure in a lightning-like manner. Hot sharp palm wind directly smashed violently towards the latter's head. Humph! The black shadow person also let out a cold snort when she saw Xiao Yan attack. Her footsteps pulled back in an agile manner and she dodged the palm wind. A green glow suddenly flashed from under the ghost mask. The one who relies on a larger number of people is likely me. The cold cry of the black shadow person sounded and the space in front of her immediately became distorted. Immediately, over a dozen figures appeared from out of nowhere. They let out a furious cry in Yuzhen. Over a dozen incomparably fierce winds smashed towards Xiao Yan. A caution rose within Xiao Yan's heart when the green glow of the black shadow person appeared. Hence, he might be surprised when these human figures suddenly appeared, but he did not panic. His body flashed in a ghost-like manner and dodged the palm wind that came flying from all directions. However, he had also took a couple of steps back as a result. Xiao Yan stabilized his body. He raised his head and looked at the dozen-over black-clothed figures standing in the midair. His eyebrows were involuntarily knitted. The aura of these people were extremely strong. Those two leading black-robed elders had even reached the Do Zun class. Those behind were all experts at the peak of the Do Zong class. By placing these people together, just their numbers alone would far exceed Xiao Yan's group. Most of these people are experts from the 9 serene deep-ground python tribes. Ziyan spoke in a deep voice. Xiao Yan nodded slightly. There was a little fear within his eyes as he looked at the black shadow person. This person was actually really able to completely control these experts. Moreover, she was even able to use this kind of mysterious spatial method to carry these controlled experts with her. That manner was completely like a movable guard warehouse. Xiao Yan's eyes carefully looked at these experts a short distance in front of him. He discovered that there was still some remnant consciousness within their eyes. However, from the looks of their manner, it appeared that their bodies were already completely being controlled. This woman has controlled their bodies, but they still possess their own consciousness. What a strange technique. Xiao Yan's heart was cold when he discovered this scene. Originally, he thought that this woman had used some method to refine puppets and refine these experts. However, from the looks of this current situation, it seemed that she had directly controlled the bodies of these people. Moreover, she had even sealed their souls within their bodies. These techniques were not only mysterious, but it was also not as complicated as refining a puppet. These various situations caused the caution within Xiao Yan's heart to become increasingly deep. Although he felt a fear, he must still obtain the pill beast. This kind of thing was too rare. Even with Xiao Yan's calmness, he was unable to resist its allure. Moreover, 2 dozuns and over a dozen peak dozongs were unable to deter and force him back. "Do you need us to attack?" Little Fairy Doctor frowned slightly and asked when she saw the Black Shadow person summoning so many experts. "There is no need. All of you should guard the surroundings. Do not allow anyone in and do not give her an opportunity to escape." Xiao Yan shook his head. He waved his hand and the Sky Demon puppet as well as the 10 Earth Demon puppet appeared. An order was issued within his heart and the glow on these 11 puppets surged. It charged forward without fearing death. ADN collided violently with that group of expert. "I want to see just what other methods you have." Xiao Yan's expression had become icy cold after he blocked these experts. A silver glow flashed under his feet and he appeared in front of the Black Shadow person in a lightning-like fashion. Surging hot wind suddenly rushed over like a storm. That Black Shadow person did not dare to slight this swift attack by Xiao Yan. After exchanging blows, she understood that the former's Do Qi was extremely strange. Once it invaded his body, there would definitely be quite a great amount of trouble. Currently, she was injured. If she was to suffer another devastating blow, it was likely that she could only withdraw. A thought flew within the Black Shadow person's mind. His footsteps also swiftly pulled back. A moment later, he finally had nowhere to withdraw to. Both of his hands were placed together and it formed some strange seals in a lightning-like fashion. Soul snatching. A cold cry was being emitted from the mouth of the Black Shadow person. A bright green light immediately shot out and shone onto Xiao Yan's body. Xiao Yan's heart was cold when the green glow was shot over. Purple-brown flame covered his body. Even though this was the case, Xiao Yan suddenly sensed that the soul between his brows had suddenly leapt when the green light shot onto his body. It was as though it was about to leave his body. This unexpected change had caused Xiao Yan's heart to be greatly startled. He hurriedly suppressed his soul and forcefully controlled the kind of unusual restlessness. What a mysterious demonic skill! Although Xiao Yan had suppressed his soul, he had begun to feel a little chilly in the face of these tactics by this woman. He could be considered to have experienced quite a number of opponents during these years. However, he had never seen one so mysterious. Bang! Xiao Yan's fist violently smashed onto the empty space after he had suppressed his soul. A frightening wind penetrated through the space and landed heavily on the Black Shadow figures. However, the latter's body clearly had a green light flashing over it when she was about to be struck. Over half the force was blocked. Humph! The strength of this punch from Xiao Yan had been reduced by more than half. The remaining strength continued to frighten that Black Shadow person until he hurriedly withdrew. A couple of cross beams ended up breaking apart from colliding with the figure. "Hand the pill beast over." Xiao Yan's expression was icy cold after forcing back the Black Shadow person with a punch. He quickly gave chase. How fist wind erupted at this moment and covered all of the fatal spots around the Black Shadow person's body. In your dreams. Although the Black Shadow person was being continuously defeated, she was also quite stubborn. Green light flashed. The pill beast in her hands strangely disappeared. Immediately, her hands hurriedly changed the seals it formed in waves after waves of bright green light rushed out from the ghost mask in all directions. Demon Eye body control. Green light erupted. Immediately, the mask of the Black Shadow person became distorted. An instant later, it actually formed a face-size green eye. This was an extremely demonic and mysterious eye. 3 green small snakes were lingering within it. Each of their heads were connected to another's tail as they encircled around the eye. As they swiftly rotated, waves after waves of mysterious energy was immediately scattered from it. The moment that the green demon eye appeared, Xiao Yan suddenly sensed that his body had suddenly stiffened. It was as though his control over his body had strangely disappeared at this moment. This kind of unexpected change caused Xiao Yan's heart to be greatly startled. Fortunately, he did not panic. With his ability, he need not to rely on his body in order to attack. A thought passed through his mind and the vast and mighty spiritual strength within his brows spread. It agglomerated into a somewhat illusory human figure in the midair in front of him. The fist of the human figure moved and a punch was thrown forward violently. Kai! Vast and mighty spiritual strength formed a spiritual hand seal on Xiao Yan's ghost fist. After which, it suddenly rushed out and landed heavily on the demonic eye. Bang! A fist smashed onto the demonic eye and the demonic eye trembled intensely. Finally, it slowly disappeared. The remnant strength also violently poured onto the black human figure's ghost mask. The heavy attack by this spiritual strength directly sent the black shadow figure flying out. Finally, she smashed heavily onto the hard wall of the pill room. Xiao Yan's face was dark and solemn. His body moved and appeared in front of the black shadow person. He clenched his fist and the heavy ruler appeared. After which, it paused onto the latter's throat. An icy cold voice appeared. "Are you going to hand over the pill beast now?" "No." The black shadow person rubbed the blood trace from the corner of her mouth. She stubbornly raised her head, stared furiously at Xiao Yan in front of her and spoke with gritting teeth. A fury rose within Xiao Yan's heart when he heard this. He turned his eyes and was about to cry out furiously when he became startled. Under the ghost mask was an exquisite melon-shaped face. However, this small face was covered by a kind of stubborn expression. Of course, the thing that caught Xiao Yan's attention was not this but the pair of eyes belonging to the girl. It was a pair of completely green beautiful eyes. However, deep within the eyes were 3 green-colored small spots. They surrounded the eyes and rotated slowly, filling it with a kind of demonic and mysterious feeling. Triple jade green snake flower pupils? Xiao Yan instantly inhaled a breath of cool air as he looked at this pair of eyes. His gaze suddenly turned towards the exquisite face. A kind of familiar feeling suddenly appeared at this instant. An exclamation of disbelief involuntarily escaped from his mouth. "You, Qing Lin? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible." Continuing from the previous episode 325. Chapter 1254. Reunion of Old Friends. The triple jade green snake flower pupils was an extremely mysterious pair of eyes in this world. In terms of rarity, it was likely even rarer than Little Fairy Doctor's woeful poison body. Xiao Yan had merely seen the triple jade green snake flower pupils once during all these years. That was during the time when he was within the mercenary company that his big and second brother had established while he was training within the Jia Ma Empire. However, the owner of the triple jade green snake flower pupils that time was merely a timid little girl. She was a pitiful little female servant who had been mocked and viewed with great discrimination because of her snake person bloodline. Back then, Xiao Yan had never viewed this little girl as a servant due to him pitying the miserable past that she had. Not only did he help her walk out from her timidness but had also provided her with much care. After he had returned from his training within the desert, he had discovered that this little girl was already captured by the Mo clan. In order to rescue her, Xiao Yan had used many tactics and created a great mess in the Mo clan before he eventually rescued her. At the last moment, however, the members of the so-called Sky Serpent Mansion finally intervened and snatched her away. Although Yao Lao had said that the Sky Serpent Mansion would definitely treat her well, Xiao Yan's heart had always remembered that timid young girl during these years. The name of that little girl was Qing Lin. At the same time, she was also the owner of the triple jade green snake flower pupils. That girl was also startled upon hearing the exclamation from Xiao Yan's mouth. Her eyes were extremely surprised as she looked at him and asked, "You, how do you know my name?" The surprise in Xiao Yan's eyes became even denser when he heard this. He had never expected that this opponent, whom he was greatly afraid of, would actually be that little female servant from back then. Xiao Yan's expression involuntarily became a little strange when he thought of this. After having not met her for so many years, the gentle and weak little girl from back then had grown up to be slim and tall. She could be considered a great beauty. One was also no longer able to see her timidness from back then. "What is it?" Little Fairy Doctor and the others also flashed over. Their eyes swept over the two of them in a strange manner and asked. "Kai." Xiao Yan involuntarily laughed as he stared intently at the exquisite melon face that was filled with doubt. He shifted away the heavy Zan ruler from Qing Lin's throat and slammed it heavily onto the ground. He laughed. "Little girl, do you still recognize this ruler?" Qing Lin blinked her eyes. Her gaze looked at the large heavy Zan ruler in front of her. Her eyebrows were bunched up. This thing gave her a familiar feeling. Even this smiling young man in front of her caused her to feel a familiarity. It appeared that these things had been present deep within her memories. Jama Empire, Vast Tager Desert, Desert Metal Mercenary Company. Xiao Yan smilingly looked at Qing Lin in deep thought and laughingly reminded. Qing Lin's body suddenly trembled when she heard these 3 sentences. Her eyes immediately widened. She looked at Xiao Yan in front of her with great disbelief. After which, she stammered, "Xiao. Young Master Xiao Yan. You have finally remembered, huh?" Xiao Yan smiled and involuntarily rubbed Qing Lin's head. He sighed, "We have not met for so many years. You have really grown up." Qing Lin's face and eyes immediately turned red and moist when her head was being rubbed by Xiao Yan. Her heart clearly understood how Xiao Yan treated her back then. After having been brought to the Sky Serpent Mansion, she was also aware of just how Xiao Yan took a great risk to head to the Mo clan to rescue her. She had cried for a long time because of this back then. At that time, she was still a timid little girl. She had always thought of herself as Xiao Yan's female servant. However, she did not expect that Xiao Yan was actually willing to take such a risk for her, a lowly female servant. In the heart of this little girl, who had experienced the cool indifference of the world, it was a matter that she could not imagine. Little Fairy Doctor and the rest by the side saw this situation that had completely taken a turn around. All of them were unable to recover. Amongst those present, only Little Fairy Doctor was acquainted with Xiao Yan earlier than Qing Lin. However, at that time, she had went to the Chu Yun Empire alone. Naturally, she had also not seen Qing Lin. "What situation is this?" Zi Yan muttered. Zi Yan and the rest also shook their heads. They were also uncertain just how this dramatic scene had come about. "You are not injured, are you?" Xiao Yan recalled the timid little female servant from back then as he looked at Qing Lin. He involuntarily spoke in a gentle voice. I'm fine, Xiao Yan." Qing Lin spoke in a somewhat hurried manner. Due to the memories left behind in her youth being too deep, even though she currently possessed the powerful strength of a top-tier expert in the continent, she still felt a kind of restraint under the smile of Xiao Yan for some unknown reason. It was just like a child meeting a stern parent. "If you don't mind, you can call me Big Brother Xiao Yan." Xiao Yan thought that Qing Lin was unable to say the words, "young master," that she had smoothly uttered back then when he saw this manner of Qing Lin. He immediately laughed. Currently, Qing Lin was no longer that young female servant from back then. With her matured triple jade green snake flower pupils, it was likely that no one on this continent could take her in as a female servant. No, I will still call you young Master Xiao Yan. I like to call you this." Qing Lin hurriedly shook her head when she heard this. Her hands were anxiously crossed together. How did this manner of hers look like the murder that had turned RHE9 serene deep ground python tribe upside down? Xiao Yan smiled but did not mind. His eyes stared at Qing Lin as he said, "Back then, you were rescued from the hands of the Mo clan but was finally being brought away by the people from the Sky Serpent Mansion. How did they treat you?" They treat me very well and even intends for me to helm the Sky Serpent Mansion. However, the elders wished to match me with the eldest son of the previous chief. I was unwilling, so I ended up secretly running away." Qing Lin nodded. However, she did not say everything. After having secretly run away, she had first made a trip to the Jia Empire. However, everything was already different. After some inquiry, she finally became aware that Xiao Yan had headed to the Central Plains. Since she had nothing to do, she also traveled a great distance to this place. Part of the reason was to tour and gain experience, but most of it was because she wanted to find a certain person who had left a deep impression in her heart. Due to the triple jade green snake flower pupils, her status during these years was different. There were also many people around her who began to court her favor. However, the one whom she really could not forget was the young master, who was also quite young, while she was still a helpless young female servant back then. He would actually take such a big risk to rescue her. The thing that was most worthwhile to recall is the events and people they experienced and met when they were at their lowest point in life. This was because the people and events at that time were truly able to leave behind an impression that could not be removed deep within one's hearts. Fortunately, the heavens rewarded those who were resolute. The person whom she was finding these years had finally appeared in front of her when she least expected it. That young Master Xiao Yan, this. Qing Lin crossed her hands. A green light suddenly flashed within her eyes. A snow-white little beast had once again appeared in her hand. The latter immediately widened its stride and rushed into Xiao Yan's embrace once it was released. It trembled and revealed a frightened expression in its eyes as it looked at Qing Lin. Xiao Yan rubbed the pill beast in his embrace and involuntarily laughed. He asked, "Do you need the pill beast?" Qing Lin hurriedly shook her head when she heard this. However, after being stared at by Xiao Yan's gaze, she finally muttered, "I wanted to use the blood of the pill beast to remove the poison within my body." Remove poison? Xiao Yan's heart sunk. He extended his hand and said, "Give your hand to me." "I'll take a look." Qing Lin hesitated for a moment before extending her delicate hand. After which, she placed it into Xiao Yan's palm. The warm large hand of the latter caused her to become flush. Xiao Yan did not pay attention to all of these. A thought passed through his mind and a wisp of spiritual strength entered Qing Lin's body from her hand. After a careful observation, he involuntarily tightened his brows. He discovered that Qin Ling's body and even her blood were all mixed with poisonous qi. This kind of poisonous qi was dark and icy. It appeared to be intending to freeze one's blood and was extremely vicious. "What poison is this?" Xiao Yan frowned and asked. "This is the Emperor Python heart-eroding poison of the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe. It is one of the top mysterious poison in this world. It is rumored to be without any antidote." Qing Lin said, "There is nothing certain in nature. Positive and negative, yin and yang, these are the rules of nature. If there is poison, there will be an antidote. Those that are said to be without antidote are those which antidote had yet to be found." Xiao Yan shook his head. His expression had become a little serious when he spoke until this point. It was likely that he had also heard of this so-called Emperor Python heart-eroding poison. It is rumored that the blood within the bodies of those medicinal pills that could turn into a beast can cure most poisons. Therefore, I have come here to try my luck. Unexpectedly, I have really met it. Qing Lin glanced at the snow-white little beast in Xiao Yan's embrace and said, "A medicinal pill of this quality is indeed able to resist quite a number of poisons. However, just this alone is insufficient to completely remove the blockage within your body." Little fairy doctor by the side also opened her mouth and said. She was an expert in using poison. Naturally, she had the right to speak. However, it is not too much of a problem. With the help of the blood of a pill beast, it is not impossible to remove this Emperor Python heart-eroding poison despite its lethality. Xiao Yan nodded. He immediately frowned slightly and asked, "Why would you offend the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe? They are not a group that one can easily offend. I am not the one who offend them. They are the ones who had come and offend me." Qing Lin was a little wronged as she said, "When I had come to the beast region back then, I was merely intending to find some powerful snake-form magical beast. How could I expect to end up meeting an elder of the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe? He had recognized my eyes and intend to capture me. I could only retaliate. Finally, I end up controlling him. However, he had released some news at the last moment and caused the entire 9 serene deep-ground python tribe to come and capture me. Finally, I can only capture some unlucky fellows. The triple jade green snake flower pupils is the nemesis of all snake-form magical beast. Other than those few snake-form magical beasts that possess pure ancient bloodlines like Kai Lin Jia's 7-colored heaven-swallowing python, the others will be in great danger when facing the triple jade green snake flower pupils. It will be strange if others do not capture you, given you possess such a thing." Ziyan curled her mouth. She still felt some grudge because of the night that Qing Lin attacked her. Xiao Yan smiled. He patted Qing Lin's shoulder and said, "It's fine. There is no need to be worried. Although this poison is troublesome, it is not impossible to cure. However, this place is currently not the best place to remove the poison. Once we leave the remains, I will think of a way to help you expel the poison. Why don't you follow beside me before this?" Qing Lin's face reddened as she nodded gently. Xiao Yan smiled and stood up. With such a great helper by their side, their lineup had once again swiftly strengthened a little. Should they meet Feng Qing'er's group again, just this lineup would be able to suppress them. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 326. Chapter 1255. Terrifying triple jade green snake flower pupils. Seeing this scene of enemies suddenly becoming companions, everyone other than those directly involved had faces that were at a complete loss. Did this relationship not change a little too quickly? Humph, she had even tried to control me that night. Ziyan glanced at Qing Lin and snorted softly. That is a misunderstanding. I am able to see through the actual form of a person. Back then, I thought that you are a 9 serene deep-ground python. Moreover, your actual body is a little different from them and is really similar to the royal family of the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe. Therefore, I have attacked you. Qing Lin hurriedly explained when she heard this. Who would be those ugly legless things? Ziyan was extremely dissatisfied with Qing Lin comparing her with the 9 serene deep-ground python. She curled her mouth before she immediately thought that the region of this blow of hers was a little too wide. She hurriedly added, other than Kai Lin Jia Jia. Xiaoyan helplessly shook her head. He ignored the argument of these two girls as he hugged the pill beast that was still trembling within his embrace. He voiced his thoughts. Although this pill beast does not have any energy ripple, an extremely experienced expert or an alchemist will still be able to sniff its pill fragrance and guess its true identity. Why don't we let Qing Lin keep it once again? Little Fairy Doctor suggested. That snow-white little beast appeared to have understood Little Fairy Doctor after she uttered these words. It suddenly shook its head wildly. Its large eyes were watery as they looked at Xiaoyan. Those claws of it tightly gripped Xiaoyan's clothes. It seemed to be quite repulsive towards Qing Lin. Qing Lin involuntarily felt a little embarrassed when she saw his manner of the snow-white little beast. Ziyan by the side ended up laughing. Xiaoyan laughed bitterly when he saw this watery large eyes of the snow-white little beast. Was this little fellow trying to act cute for him to see? Cough. Hand it to me. I am able to isolate the pill fragrance within its body. Little Fairy Doctor suddenly coughed slightly. Her pretty eyes stared intently at the snow-white little beast. From her manner, it was obvious that she was unable to endure the cute attack by this little fellow. A woman always loves such furry things. Xiaoyan involuntarily felt speechless when he saw this manner of Little Fairy Doctor. It was unexpected that someone as strong as Little Fairy Doctor was still unable to escape from this kind of rule. Immediately, he could only hand the snow-white little beast over. After hesitating for a moment, the little fellow also entered Little Fairy Doctor's embrace. Its furry head randomly moved about in the latter's embrace, stirring Little Fairy Doctor's lovely laughter. This caused the corner of Xiaoyan's mouth to twitch. Could this pill beast be a male? After receiving the pill rest, an energy leapt onto Little Fairy Doctor's finger. She subsequently pressed it onto the body of the pill beast. A layer of faint energy web appeared and adhered onto the fur of the little beast. With the adhesion of this energy web, that pill fragrance that caused one to feel relaxed also completely disappeared. When one looked over in this manner, this pill beast was completely the same as an ordinary small beast. It was likely that no one could discover its identity. Xiaoyan sighed in relief when he saw this. He glanced at the little beast, which had already shrunk in Little Fairy Doctor's embrace. The corner of his eyes twitched before he turned around and kept the Sky Demon puppet and the many other puppets into his storage ring. After which, he spoke to Qing Lin, "Keep those bodyguards of yours." Qing Lin nodded upon hearing this. A green light flashed in her eyes and the many bodyguards disappeared. They transformed into a ray of green light that rushed back into Qing Lin's eyes. Seeing this mysterious method, everyone, including Xiaoyan, involuntarily had some shocked expressions on their faces. This triple jade green snake flower pupils was indeed extremely mysterious and extraordinary. After the triple jade green snake flower pupils matures, a space can be formed within the eye. Those things that are controlled by me can be stored within it. However, there is also a limit. The limit can only be gradually increased with the increase in my strength. Qing Lin smilingly explained after seeing the surprise on everyone's faces. However, those who are controlled by me will gradually weaken. This is because the triple jade green snake flower pupils will devour their strength and give it to me. Qing Lin's next sentence directly caused Xiaoyan's group to inhale a breath of cool air. This thing was really too frightening. If it was done this way, would it not mean that Qing Lin need not train? She merely needed to capture experts to control and gain the benefits from it? It is not as frightening as all of you imagine. That kind of devourment is extremely slow. Moreover, with my current strength, I am only able to control those 2-star Do Zun and below, and the numbers cannot exceed 3. Qing Lin extended her small tongue and said when she saw the manner of everyone. Additionally, I am only able to control those magical beasts that possess a snake bloodline. It does not have such an effect against a human or other magical beast. At the very most, it could only be of some assistance. Xiao Yan wiped off his cold sweat. He had personally experienced this kind of assistance earlier. If it was not because his soul was far more powerful than Qing Lin, it was not impossible for him to fall at the most unexpected place. Qing Lin's current strength was merely that of someone who had just advanced into the Do Zun class. It was not even stable. If she was to really fight with Xiao Yan with this kind of strength, it was likely that she would have been defeated within less than 20 exchanges. However, with the triple jade green snake flower pupils, Xiao Yan would have to treat her seriously. No wonder your strength would rise so rapidly. Xiao Yan sighed. Back then, Qing Lin was not even a Do Zun. However, within less than 10 years, she had already reached such a stage. Such rapid training rate caused even Xiao Yan to feel ashamed. This was called speed. Although Xiao Yan sighed emotionally through his mouth, Xiao Yan also clearly understood in his heart that those similar to Qing Lin would likely not exceed 10 people on the entire continent. An extremely rare natural thing like the triple jade green snake flower pupils was not something that everyone could possess. It is indeed worthy of being the top mysterious eyes in the world. It is so powerful that it causes one to tremble. Tian Huo Zun Jie also inhaled a breath of air. His heart felt terrible. He, as an old fellow, had trained hard for so many years. Yet another person had caught up to him after training for less than a decade. Anyone would feel somewhat unbalanced within his heart. Xiao Yan laughed bitterly after seeing everyone's shocked and speechless manner. He waved his hand and said, "This thing is something one is born with. There is no point in being envious. Let's go. We should head to the main hall. Otherwise, all the treasures will belong to the others if we arrive late." Everyone nodded upon hearing this. They withdrew their envy within their hearts. After making some preparations, they withdrew from this deserted pill room. At this moment, there was an increasingly number of experts who had hurried over to this third level of the pill hall after hearing some rumors. Some of the pill rooms would frequently emit some sound of battles as well as curses. Clearly, they had begun to fight because of the treasure that were discovered. Most of the remaining pill rooms had basically been searched. Hence, Xiao Yan was also uninterested in searching them again. In any case, he had already obtained the greatest treasure within this pill hall. Everything else was insignificant. Hence, Xiao Yan's group did not continue to remain in this place. They directly searched for a path to leave. After which, the group of them brought a precious pill beast, which could cause countless number of eyes to turn green, and swaggered away. They had naturally attracted quite a number of gazes along the way. Some eyes paused for a moment on the pill beast in little fairy doctor's embrace, but no one could identify the true identity of this little things. Affing the frightening lineup of Xiao Yan's group, even those with quite a good eyesight would not foolishly stop them. The group successfully exited the pill hall and looked at the crossing pathways. They were a little stunned for a moment. This remains was too large. It was not easy to head to the main hall. I will lead the way. I have found a rough map within the remains and know where the main hall is. Qing Lin by the side laughed when they saw Xiao Yan being at a loss. Xiao Yan sighed in relief when he heard this. He nodded. This little girl was indeed a lucky star. She was already completely different from the young female servant from back then. Qing Lin smiled when she saw this. She identified their position and her toes pressed on the ground. After which, her lovely figure gently rushed out. Xiao Yan's group swiftly followed from behind. The complication of the interior of the ancient remains had exceeded Xiao Yan's expectations. He followed behind Qing Lin. Those twining corridors directly caused one to feel as though one had entered a maze. Fortunately, this kind of feeling continued for around 10 minutes or so before the view of sight in front widened. His body once again charged some distance forward. An enormous old hall finally appeared in front of everyone's sight. This large hall was bronze yellow in color. The countless number of years had caused this bronze yellow to appear even deeper. An ancient aura spread out from every stone plate, causing one to feel that vicissitude that had been quiet for countless number of years. The large hall was extremely wide. A person standing within was just like an ant. The middle of the large hall were 10 huge light clusters. These light clusters were suspended in the midair. One could vaguely see some scroll-like objects within those glaring light. The heart of Xiao Yan's group pounded violently when their eyes caught sight of these light clusters. Could these be that so-called Tien class Do skill? Xiao Yan's eyes swept over these light clusters that were emitting a kind of mysterious pressure. It suddenly paused at the middle of the 10 light clusters. There was a stone seat at that spot. On the stone chair was a completely jade white skeleton. The hands of the skeleton formed a seal as it sat. The skeleton of an elite Do Sheng. Xiao Yan's mouth immediately felt a little dry as he looked at the skeleton. This was the first time he had seen an elite Do Sheng. Although it was already just a set of bones, the pressure that came from deep within those bones was extremely heavy, causing Xiao Yan's group to feel a pressure. This is the main hall of the remains. Qing Lin softly said. Xiao Yan nodded slightly. His eyes shifted away from the light clusters and the bones and looked towards the middle of the spacious large hall. Quite a number of people were already standing there. Moreover, all of their auras were strong. Xiao Yan had also once again saw Feng Cheng'er's group amongst them. They are really quick to arrive. A cold smile involuntarily flashed across Xiao Yan's face when he saw these figures. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible.